Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and with Maureen Callahan. Between the two of us, one of us will watch Polo, so you don't have to. One, two, three, not it.
Sorry?
I said one, two, three, not it. That means you're watching.
I have to do it? Oh my God. I think I'm suffering enough through this news cycle. Okay.
No,
I mean, I'm deep in the grimy world of Jay-Z right now.
Oh my,
So,
me too. Yes, I
right?
know.
Yeah.
Wait, really quickly while we're on that, what did you think last night's red carpet said about all that was going on? That was an interesting move, showing up when all this, what's hitting the fan.
I thought it was delusional and shameless, really. And I'm really wondering who Beyonce's crisis manager is, because her brand is fiery feminist.
Yeah. Fiery feminist, but you've got your sister beating him up in an elevator because he cheated on you. I know, I get it.
And you're bringing your daughter out so he can hide behind your skirts.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
leave Jay-Z home.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's talk about some good news. I absolutely got a bit of a thrill out of seeing Prince William and Donald Trump together in France. I think a little bit of it was just kind of seeing Prince William in that leadership role. He very much fit in, and he was just so comfortable with everybody. He was, on this huge stage with world leaders, and he didn't flinch at all. But they were in France for the reopening of Notre Dame. Kensington Palace spokesperson said His Royal Highness traveled at the request of His Majesty's government on behalf of the United Kingdom. No big deal. And he held this meeting with President-elect Trump about the US and UK's special relationship. Now, where I feel kind of bad, and God love him, but Trump did tell the New York Post, I had a great talk with the prince. I asked him about his wife, and he said she's doing well. And I asked him about his father, and his father is fighting very hard, and he loves his father and he loves his wife. So it was sad. He added, we had a great talk for half an hour, a little more than half an hour, always Trump, a little more than half an hour.
Right,
we had a
right.
great talk. Now, why I feel bad is because I know that Trump is probably unaware of how protective the royal family's been about the health of these two individuals, and I doubt that they were thrilled that Trump was talking about the status of Catherine and the king. Do you have an opinion on that?
I mean, maybe, but William is so shrewd, and I think, doesn't say anything that he would not be okay with being out there for public consumption.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely sending a message like Kate is on the mend, which is great news, and Charles is really struggling.
Mm.
And I think there may be a sort of slower dispersal of this kind of information to get people ready, maybe
Wow.
for something that may come sooner than they would have hoped for. That's
Well,
just a theory.
yeah, I hate to hear that. We'll have to wait and see what Christmas looks like, because we typically get, you know, you can gauge everybody's mood when you have that long walk to church. That remember the pictures. I remember the pictures from last year because one of my girlfriends went out there and she was dressed like, she was dressed like a patriotic explosion, adorably, like in this red, white, and blue with her American flags. And she took an Uber to Sandringham from London, and the king stopped and talked to her. So we'll see. I'm sure that we'll get some fan photos and videos out of around Christmas time of the royals, and see a little more from them. This You can definitely help me tell this next story because you are highly familiar with some of Bill Simmons, the Ringer founder and head of podcast innovation and monetization at Spotify. He's pretty famous for his testimonials when it comes to Harry and Meghan. I'll have you tell the big thing that he said about them. But he did say that when Harry and Meghan lost their deal, I got to get drunk one night and tell the story of the Zoom I had with Harry to try to help him with podcast ideas. It's one of my best stories. We have to start that GoFundMe right now to get Bill Simmons drunk so that we can get those stories out of him. Remember in January 2022, where he was kind of picking on Harry, and for good reason, saying like, shoot this guy to the sun. I'm so tired of this guy. Why? What does he bring to the table? All he does is whine. You're not even the favorite son, things like that. But tell me what the most famous line is from Bill Simmons that probably will go on Harry and Meghan's tombstone.
Oh, well, thank you, Kinsey, for giving me the honor. It's the money quote of the first half of this decade. Effing grifters. Am I missing a word? Was it something effing grifters?
Let's see. Let's see. I mean, there.
Effing grifters. Like it was something like that, but he said, it was effing grifters. I'm checking your notes that you
Yeah.
kindly sent. But the other thing that I think one of the ideas that Harry had, I don't know if it was Bill Simmons who said this or somebody else, but he wanted to interview people such as Vladimir Putin and Pope Francis about their daddy issues.
Oh my gosh. Oh God.
So, I guess his working premise is like Putin invaded Ukraine because of his daddy issues.
Of course. I mean, we all know that, right? No, absolutely not. Insane. Well, I think, I was always under the impression that Bill Simmons might have been slapped on the hand for that comment. But knowing now that we know that he continues to talk about Harry and Meghan on his podcast, I don't think Spotify said anything to him, because there was a recent episode. This happened last week on the Bill Simmons podcast. A former ESPN host named Ryan Russillo revealed Meghan Markle once turned him down despite him believing she was obtainable. He met her at a celebrity flag football game in February of 2014. I actually think that might have been where she met Serena Williams, maybe too. But the quote was, "It was all of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit models, so nobody was really paying any attention to Meghan." I was like, that's my lane. She's probably doubting herself a little bit right now. She's never been more attainable. I mean, Maureen, I read this line and thought, deal or no deal, Meghan owes a lot to the British royal family, because that, I think, says so much about what her status was before Prince Harry entered the chat.
Oh, 100%. I mean, she was forever all the way down on the call list. And this, I think, Suits, which was a basic cable drama that ran for like 8 years, was her biggest job up until meeting Harry.
Yeah.
And I can assure you, nobody in America knew who this woman was. Nobody was talking about her. One of my favorite claims that Harry made in Spare was that William and Kate were beside themselves when they found out Harry was dating the vaunted Meghan Markle. Really? They were such super fans. They couldn't believe it. They were nervous. I mean, it beggars belief. But I kind of like what that guy said on the Bill Simmons show. I was kind of like, this takes me back to like the early 2000s and that guy Mystery. Remember that like pickup artist? And his whole thing was about negging, like finding an attractive girl at a bar and going up to her and like giving her like sideways insults to sort of break her down and bring her down to your level. And I felt a little bit like that. I was like, she's a lot of things, but I don't know that I love this look on these guys.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It reminds me of that movie with James Franco, RIP. That was a disappointing cancellation. And Shane West, where I wish I could, whatever it takes, where James Franco says to Shane West, if you want the popular girl to fall in love with you, you have to treat her horribly, like it's very much like, ugh. But Bill Simmons is getting away with it on Spotify because Bill Simmons, the return on investment is there. Like he brings the views, he brings the eyeballs. I think if Bill Simmons weren't such a powerhouse when it comes to the Spotify brand, he would have been, I think he would have gotten in a lot of trouble for what he said, because this was just days after Spotify and Meghan and Harry tried to tell us this was an amicable split.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes me wonder about the conversations in those boardrooms and those C-suites, like what these executives really have to say about them, because they spent a lot of money and they got very, very little in return. It actually was probably reputationally and financially such a black eye, to do this deal with so much fanfare, and we were expecting so very much, and it was like the Meghan Markle navel gazing hour. Nobody can after that first episode, which I think we all listened to as a sort of rubbernecking experience. It was clear this woman has nothing to say and nothing to offer. There's not an original thought rattling around in that head.
Yeah. Well, I remember the very, very first episode was the Christmas special. And I was like, why is the Christmas special being told by Tyler Perry and Elton John? Isn't this Harry and Meghan's podcast? It was so, so weird. I mean, that should have been their first sign that things weren't going to go the way that they wanted to. But let's talk about the return on investment when it comes to Harry and Meghan and potential disappointments. By the time this chat airs, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Polo will be available to stream on Netflix. And there are a lot of quotes here. How about I read the first paragraph and you read the second one, and then I read. You wanted to go back and forth with these because it's like hilarious. I feel like we have to read
Sure.
each and every one of these. So, okay, so sources close to the Sussexes tell Closer that Meghan may now be regretting branching out to reality television. They said when Meghan and Harry put out their docuseries a couple of years ago, she made this big deal about how it wasn't going to be anything like reality TV. But they've obviously had to eat some humble pie and lower themselves to this level. People are wondering what happened to their mandate to put out inspiring content.
They also say that while the Sussexes, oh, that name, are trying to brush off the backlash, it's difficult not to take it personally. I would assume so. Quote, Harry and Meghan are putting a brave face, and saying it's a good bit of fun and ultimately not something to get worked up about because they never overreact, Kinsey, to anything. As far as they're concerned, it's very unfair that they're catching heat. They take issue with people who roll their eyes and call them reality TV sellouts. People haven't even seen the whole series and they're already tearing it down, and they fully believe the harsh reaction is simply down to their association with it.
I mean, we also hate polo horses being abused and things like that as well. But it's yet
Mhm.
another slap in the face for them, and it's difficult, especially for Meghan, not to take it to heart. Oh, but she's got a thick skin, Maureen. Don't forget. It's
Right.
common knowledge among her friends that she sees herself as a very serious figure in the entertainment business. She and Harry have geared their brand around being classy and intelligent. I mean, was that Meghan Markle squatting with a baby bottle on the Ellen DeGeneres show something you classy and intelligent? They want to be seen as respected producers, but it looks as though it's starting to sink in that this type of project hasn't done them any favors as far as being taken seriously by their peers.
The insider continues. Megan knows it doesn't really matter how she and Harry feel about it. Perception is everything. And now online forums are burning up with people ridiculing them. Truth is, it was pretty much out of their control. It's everybody else's fault, as usual. Okay, the bosses wanted the series to appeal to the masses and push this reality TV slant. So, again, it's not entirely their fault, but it's starting to feel like a big mistake.
Ooh.
It's pretty ironic because they've always acted so above this sort of thing, and now here they are producing the exact type of content they've always looked down on.
Yeah, here's my favorite line. Her enemies are all snickering that this has gone and knocked her off her holier than thou high horse. And there's not much she can say to defend herself. Do you just sometimes wonder, like, what planet whoever wrote that, whoever, if that is truly if that is truly a Sussex source, what
Hmm.
planet does that person live on? Because uh that whole thing to me, I was like laughing. My face hurt from smiling when I was done reading it. I was like, this is absolute chaos. This is crazy.
I think this is what happens when you treat your workforce so poorly that they flee with only the clothes on their backs in the middle of the night. And NDA or no, they're going to be burning up those online forums or placing that anonymous call to TMZ to, spill some state secrets.
Yeah, I mean, There is no way that when Harry and Meghan signed on the dotted line that Netflix contract, that they envisioned the tacky polo trailer being what they promised they were going to make all this uplifting content. I mean, even with Meghan's podcast, what I witnessed in that trailer was it was just yuck. And I mean, it wasn't even good yuck like Bravo. Like I'm not going to kick my feet off like I do with Southern Charm and just zen for half an hour or to an hour. This was just it just looks so irrelevant, and I just don't care about any of these people.
Just an aside, by the way, the new season of Southern Charm, I think it seems very strong. The premiere last week, I
Well,
loved it.
well, well, one of the cast members watches us religiously, so say hi to that anonymous person. Oh, I have so much gossip to tell you when we're done recording.
I
I have
can't
more
wait.
too. Okay, so hello to the cast of Southern Charm that watches this show. All right, let's jump to the next story because this had. Speaking of online forums, this has blown up the Reddit forum. Meghan not on stage at the Tyler Perry event. So in July of this year, the Hollywood Reporter announced that Tyler Perry was being honored by Harry and Meghan, the Paley Center for Media's Paley Honors Gala. So that's where Harry and Meghan were going to honor Tyler Perry. And the way that it was positioned at the time, I really felt like it was going to be Harry and Meghan on the stage handing Tyler Perry this award. Um, but yeah, so they say that the Paley Center recruited some of Perry's closest friends and colleagues as part of its tribute, including Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, Netflix's Ted Sarandos, Whoopi Goldberg, Taraji P. Henson, Gayle King, and Kerry Washington, to name a few. And the Sussexes were among the tribute chairs. So the debate online is why Meghan wasn't one of the individuals on stage with Tyler Perry, like Ted Sarandos, who we know she has a relationship with Oprah Winfrey and Kerry Washington. Visually, the debate is, was she sitting at that table alone, the gala table alone, because all of those people were surrounding her at one point around the dinner table. That seems embarrassing to me. Like just the thought of it, just my body rejects.
That's a complete humiliation. And you would think that, again, if she had a really solid core team of people around her, which through her own fault she does not, that these things would be arranged in advance, well in advance, right? Like, well, will Meghan be on the stage with these people? Oh, she won't be on the stage with these people? You mean the visual is going to be she's sitting alone while all these A-listers, Tyler Perry, godfather to one of her children, Oprah Winfrey, conducted that bombshell interview that blew up in their faces, are up on the stage. Meghan will not be attending if this is not somehow remedied, because this is a humiliation. Working royal or no, she clings to that Duchess title with, cold, dead hands. So I don't understand. Like, she's allowing herself to be humiliated in this way because it seems desperate. It seems grabby, like anything to be in that room in proximity to these people. And, I would bet that Ted Sarandos, the head of Netflix, is none too pleased with Meghan Markle right now. I would imagine he's having behind closed doors discussions that mirror the likes of what Bill Simmons has to say, because
Yeah,
this
because
polo doc is going to flop.
we never see them do any sort of media for these things. Have you noticed that? I mean, I understand Prince Harry must have been contractually obligated to do some media for Spare, because otherwise they don't do media for anything. And it was so strange to me that they would show up in Jamaica where with a man that has been very critical of the British royal family on the same carpet, and the same photos of them show up in Jamaica for the Bob Marley premiere carpet, but you've not done any sort of media whatsoever for Heart of Invictus. It live to lead. No, none. I don't even think they did any media for the Harry and Meghan documentary. I mean, that's so strange. I'm sure Ted is sitting around going, man, I mean, Meghan Markle's sitting in the audience and not one mention of polo along the carpet.
Such a great point. And that Bob Marley premiere in Jamaica, oh my God, I'll never forget. Another incredible visual. Meghan overdressed in a ball, like a voluminous skirt. And the look on her face when she is not escorted to the front row, but they stop in the middle row. And then it's like the face when you get on the plane and you're like, how did I wind up with the middle seat? They were told to sit in the middle.
It's called marrying the spare. It's called
marrying the spare and then denigrating the entire family for years. So it's just incredible. And by the way, I don't know if you happen to see this report. It was in an American tabloid, but it was about Harry quoting from Invictus at a recent ceremony. I have to read this to you because I need to know what you think of it. This was on November 18th. He said to students at Vancouver's Seaforth Armory, quoting from the 1875 poem Invictus, "How many of you have felt struggles yourself and had to deal with it yourself without the help of family and friends?"
Well, Harry can't say he can't. Harry can't raise his hand there because I mean he was 40 years old before he learned how to pay his phone bill. He bought his first couch when he moved to Montecito.
Isn't that incredible? And isn't it true that when Meghan moved in with him at Notcott, she had to put their new furniture on her own credit cards?
Yes,
And
yeah,
she was
yeah.
shopping at like Wayfair.
They were complaining that they had to shop at IKEA, and I was like, "Oh, hashtag I love IKEA." Like I mean,
Of
I go there for the
course.
meatballs. Like I have no issues with IKEA, lady. Well, we're going to end this a little early because we have a Christmas surprise for our viewers. We're going all in on a Harry and Meghan 2024 recap. Patience is a virtue, so get ready because I can't wait to deliver some of the best, juiciest commentary when it comes to like what a joke of a year for these two professionally.
Agreed. I can't wait to dive in with you because when they look back on this year, I wonder what they count as their wins.
I'm sure it's those royal tours, which were basically giant fashion shows for
You're
Meghan.
right.
Yuck,
You're
yuck. Okay.
right.
All right. Thanks again to Maureen Callahan, author of Ask Not the Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed. She also has a lot of other books. So just open up Amazon, type in her name because they're great Christmas gift ideas. And we will see you again very soon with the most savage royal recap of Harry and Meghan that you can even remotely comprehend. Thanks, guys.